can start our discussion, I would call it. Okay. Pratibha, just let me know if everything is well or if something is not well.
Yes, everything is perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so as I was saying, we will be discussing about learning experience design for the human tech era, the era that we are currently in. We talk about engagement, we talk about safety, and we talk about real transformations. These are three fields that have generally shifted or changed along the way. So as I was telling you, education is my main passion field of activity. And as with any passion, the personal drive is haunting me to perform better and better. So I will tell you a short story about myself. So I started as a authorized trainer almost 15 years ago in different contexts, industries with participants of all ages from 60-year-old to 65 plus. And I've experienced lots of challenges and changes in the field during all this time. And I had one main question that, especially in the early years, went in my head. And it was something like, what's with all the changes? Why do I need to change the material again? Why do I need to change my presentation again? How can I master it if there are so many changes all the time? So there was this mix of drive for adapting and also attention, and sometimes overwhelming. And I've also experienced some of my participants feeling overwhelmed. And I would like to ask you, and please answer in the chat if you can. Um, I would like to ask you, either is as a mentor or as a mentee, do you feel tension or overwhelmed when you are thinking about learning right now? When you think about trainings, whether you present them, prepare them, or participate in them. If you can, please put your answers in the form role, mentor or mentee, and tensioned or overwhelmed or relaxed, who knows? And by the time we gather some responses, I will go along a bit with my story, not to eat too much of our time. So yes, I had this question in my mind over time, and it's okay to have it. It leads to observing yourself and making progress. And I love adapting. Who really personally knows me knows I'm the most smiling adapting person. And I also like to pick up challenges. So this brought me into a position of doing a research about how do people feel about learning nowadays. And I want to show you the results of this research. But before that, I would like to look into the chat to see several of your answers here. Yeah, tensioned, relaxed as mentor, really nice. Yeah, thank you for the answers. Okay, so there's a mix of feelings with regards to learning. I'll move on to tell you a bit about my research very shortly. I'm doing my research as part of my studies in psychology as my second field of study currently at the Titu Maiorescu University in Bucharest. And along with some very, very inspiring teachers, which really create a safe environment for all of us as students there. I've presented my results in the international conference, and I will tell you the name just because it's important for the presentation. It's called Education and Creativity for a Knowledge-Based Society. So we got education, we've got creativity, and we have knowledge in the same sentence. And actually, what somehow amused me was the fact that in the results of my study, these three really popped up from the students that I've interviewed. So the results spanned only adults, 18 to 65 plus years old, students or business people or employees. And I've received three very important results here. There's the first one that all ages agreed that they are expecting more adaptation from the teaching methods. Then all ages considered education to be responsible and to be the most important field for both individuals' development and society development. And the third point is that the current major change is the change from having knowledge to how we relate to having more knowledge and tools that have the knowledge today. And looking at these three answers, I don't want to put any more pressure on the ones that already feel tension for my previous question. What my point is actually to tell you that we are in a good place where we are, especially in this studio created by GSDC. We are people here in a good place, happy to be all here to share experiences and to improve learning through learning experience design. And we're going to explore how we design experiences that truly support people, not overwhelm them, especially in this world which moves faster than the human nervous system. And this session basically is not only about tools, it's mainly about people. Now, when we design learning experiences, we often focus on the content. That's not wrong, but the content is only the surface. Learning is shaped by everything beneath it. And when I say everything beneath it, everything is related mostly to the learner. So as we step deeper into LXD, we must understand where learning actually begins, because it does not begin in the classroom. It begins in the world that the learner comes from. So as a first, for each class, session, or training, we really need to create a trainee persona that really fits. To know their motivations, their demotivators, their reasoning and objectives, like learning and business objectives. Because we all live in this societal pressure system with acceleration, multitasking, digital saturation, you name it, performance expectations, constant adaptation, right? And people, learners, carry this into the learning environment. And inside each person, this becomes like an internal operating system, if you want. It's based on, actually, I think this is where we should concentrate. This kind of internal operating system, it's based on beliefs, but also on fears, on the stress load, on the emotional fatigue and self-perception with a limited cognitive bandwidth. And these internal states, we would ask ourselves how these internal states shape the learning behaviors. And if you think about stress load and fears, what behaviors could they bring? They would bring disengagement. They would bring low motivation. They would bring resistance and distraction. And not because something is wrong with the learner, but because something is really heavy in the system they're navigating. And all these internal states and behaviors create a block, and that blockage blocks creativity, first of all, and knowledge and learning along with these. And here, L&D has a very big responsibility today than the content. We are shifting from content producers to environment designers. And we really hold the responsibility to create spaces that are psychologically safe, that are emotionally supportive and digitally manageable. Only then real learning can begin and can start through creativity and knowledge. So once we understand these invisible forces that are shaping our learners, we can finally talk about the actual craft of learning experience design. To move forward, let's see what is actually this kind of learning experience design. Learning experience design is designing the environment where learning can actually happen. It's not just content, not just tools, right? So it's about creating the conditions where learning becomes possible. because learning does not happen only when the trainer speaks. Learning happens when the learner feels safe, is engaged, and really actually listens, actively listening, finds meaning, sees relevance, and has a space to think and process. So LXD is not about teaching, it's about how the learner learns. And it includes the whole environment, the flow of the discussion, the emotion, the cognitive load, the psychological safety, pacing, and the way the information enters the mind. So when we shift from designing content to designing experience, we shift from delivering information to creating transformation. And I think that's the beauty of LXD so far, in my opinion, because it's not about delivering more information, but about creating environments where the nervous system of each person says, I can now do what I'm meant to do, and I can learn here, because our nervous systems is meant to learn from the environment, and we really need to leverage the possibility to learn of every person. And now we need to ask ourselves, why is this so urgent now? What's changing in our current era, in this human tech era? What's changed is digital acceleration, cognitive overload, emotional fatigue, and nervous system limits. I think none of these four is really unheard from any of you. We live in this era where the environment is defined by acceleration and constant connectivity and information overload. And our brains were not built to speed or to work at this speed at which these digital environments operate today. So what happens? Well, people are overwhelmed and they are fatigued and they are distracted and emotionally stretched. Attention becomes fragmented, thus learning becomes harder. This is why learning experience design matters more today than ever, because L&D acknowledges a simple truth. Technology moves fast, humans don't. Learning needs to protect the human system, not to pressure it more. And I can tell you from my experience, I saw this very clearly during my programs. As I've trained in one of my teams, the core team, I've trained over 250 SMEs for digital competencies and cloud technologies. And it all started with me creating a very intense program with a lot of tools that each SME could use depending on their business behind, depending on their experience with digitalization, and depending on where they want to go on their objectives, right? And I really focused heavily on tools. And my idea was a good one, to expose them and to offer learners a lot of tools so that they can choose depending on their business and their interest to match the most from each person that joined the training. Now, the sessions were correct, but they were not really transformative. And that was because the overload I was creating over their already blocked and overloaded systems was pushing them to non-creative. So I decided to shift, and I started teaching through a story, the whole training. I really had to drop lots of the tools that I've introduced in the training, but it was nice that even though not everyone related to the story in the same way, everybody connected to it. And then everybody, creativity opened. People felt safe to experiment different tools, not only the ones I was presenting. They were ready to adapt, to imagine. It was really nice to see that they didn't only apply part of the tools to their business, but they engaged with the other participants by brainstorming solutions for each case. So creativity really appeared, and even though I could not offer the whole suite of tools as I was used to, people really felt empowered to ask me about other tools, to investigate on their own. They felt empowered to create their own story. And after 250 plus companies, I've only received 2 improvement requests, which are very important for me. And this didn't happen because the tools changed, but because the experience got changed. So why did the story work? Let's break down the foundations and see a little bit there. It's all related to the foundations of human engagement. There are 4 main pillars of the human engagement quality. We have motivation, relevance, emotion, and safety. We talk about people that engage when they understand why something matters. So motivation is the why. Then we talk about relevance. They engage when they can see themselves in the content. We talk about emotion. Emotion creates meaning, and meaning creates memory. And then we talk about safety. No one learns under threat. Psychological safety is non-negotiable. Yes, we do learn under threat, but those are learnings that do not last, and they are learnings made for security, for very basic traits that we need, not for long-term learning. So if we design learning that ignores these 4 elements here, then we will design learning that does not stick. And if we integrate them intentionally, we will unlock engagements that feel natural and effortless for our participants. And these 4 elements explain why stories reach people when tools alone don't. Now, let's look at the invisible mechanics of experience, the design choices that shape how the brain receives every piece of information. We have here the invisible design choices that determine whether learning experience feels heavy or supportive. The brain can only process as much as the cognitive load it has. Overloaded learners will disengage. Then sequencing and pacing really matter. So create a flow that is good and that feels effortless is very important. People learn differently. We must reach multiple pathways, and we have to do it in a physical, digital, and emotional environment where we shape attention. Small adjustments in these areas create massive improvement in engagement, because most training fail not because content is wrong, but because the experience around it is so heavy for the learner cognitive system. So how do we create a learning that really stays with people? Well, in order to build such a memorable learning moment, well, it's we really need to include 4 important points. We need to know that humans learn through patterns, emotions, and meaning. So stories are the ones that provide all 3 of these all together. Then practice is doing, right? And doing, not listening, really creates a skill. So create as much as possible practice in your trainings. Then this is where meaning is formed. We need to offer time for reflection, not once at the end, but during the phases of the session. We need to create some rocks where everybody can stop and reflect. And it really needs to work in a real context. So we have the narrative, we have the reflection, we have the application, and then we have the practice. And this would be a perfect mix when we design these elements to prepare people for the skills for the world of tomorrow, actually. And then I want to show you, I've done a little research again. What's the current view over which are the critical skills by 2030? 2030 is not so far away. So these 4 skills define the new workforce right now. LXD is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate all 4 of them. When we design experiences, not just content, we really teach people how to think, how to adapt, how to collaborate, and how to navigate digital complexity, which is continuously growing. We support the switch from having the knowledge to navigate and use the knowledge in a creative, useful way. And LXD is one of the few practices capable of developing these skills not through theory, but through experience. In order to see how well we improve learning, we also need to improve how we measure learning. And measuring, first of all, should not really be confusing at all. And should not be, analytics generally should not overwhelm, should clarify things. And what matters right now is not attendance, but behavior, what people do during and after the learning experience. Good analytics would light the path and don't dictate it. So let me show you what happens when we redesign learning with the human tech dynamic at center. In order to show you this before and after LXD in action, I prepared two examples starting from my story before. What I did was that I had these sessions focused on presenting many tools, right? And then the learners asked which one I should use. The question came exactly because the cognitive overload blocked their creativity, and no clear narrative from my side would connect the pieces. People understood the tools but didn't know how to apply them, and this was pretty frustrating for me to see back then. So after creating the story and the whole environment for them, tools were presented inside a simple, relatable story. And learners saw how tools fit into a real workflow. This gave them, first of all, the impression that they can really master tools, and generally all tools, and not tools mastering them or their work. They saw how they can fit it in a real workflow. Creativity was reactivated. They started experimenting the tools I was presenting and also new ones. They adapted their tools to their context naturally. And engagement increased, and the learning space became really collaborative. So the key shift was from more tools to that doesn't always mean more learning, while a story creates meaning and meaning unblocks creativity. And this is because behind every effective LXD intervention is not a tool, but a shift in how the learner is seen. The second example that I've prepared is switching how I've managed to switch from passive learning to empowered future-oriented learners. So before LXD, learners received the information, but they really stayed passive. Many felt unsure how to continue. They were learning on their own. There was no emotional connection, very low confidence. The competence felt external. The trainer knows, I don't. Maybe one colleague knows, but I really don't. After L&D, we're creating the story with the emotional safety and the personal relevance. That's very important. Learners suddenly saw themselves in that learning journey, and the competence shifted internally. I was getting, I get this, I understand this, so I can do this, and I want to learn more. Then I was really surprised at the end of these trainings, participants began asking, how can we continue with the next trainings? How can we obtain a certification, a GSDC certification? They really felt empowered, and empowerment replaced dependency of tools. And I think these are the employees the world needs tomorrow. These are the people the world needs tomorrow. This is the mentality the world needs tomorrow. The key shift was that no story was creating no competence and no ownership, while a story created learners to become self-driven, curious, and motivated to grow. So let me show you two examples here of tools and techniques for this human-centered approach. The tools and techniques take part of three main categories: simple frameworks, patterns that scale, and safety-first design. these three first categories support how we can shift our trainings. If we talk about simple frameworks, the human-centered LXD doesn't require complicated models. This is the first thing. We were talking about lowering, overwhelming, and this comes with minimization. So no complicated models. And it all starts with small frameworks that help you design with intention. For example, for simple frameworks, we can look at the moment model. This moment model fits very well when we manage to answer one question. What should the learner feel, understand, and be able to do at this very moment? Once you answer that as part of your persona that I've mentioned earlier in the training, in the session, you will see that your story will shift to how do you want to make them feel, what do you want them to understand and to be able to do at this very moment. Then another framework would be the ARC check. ARC stands for attention, relevance, and connection. So you do a check. How's the attention level? What's the relevance of the subject? And what's the connection of the learners with the material and with myself as a teacher, as a trainer? Once you do this check, you will see where do you need to shift? Is it an attention problem? Attention generally goes directly related to overwhelming. Then is this relevant? If it's not relevant, then motivation is low. Motivation low, attention low, they are all connected. If there is no connection, then no actual exchange can happen. Information exchange, learning exchange. So this is a very good framework that you can use. Another framework that I want to bring up here is the story, practice, reflection application. This is a learning flow loop. When practicing this, you will see that in time, you will create a story, right? You practice it, you offer it for reflection, and then you put it into application. You do that during your trainer together with your trainees, and then they have the story, which gives them the three main points I've mentioned earlier: motivation, emotion, and connection, right? Then we take them into practice, so they build their confidence and their capabilities. Then they go into reflection so that they can be ready for application afterwards. And this will all happen very, very naturally for all of them. Good. Then let's discuss about patterns that scale. We have here three kind of patterns. There's the pattern of alternation. Here we talk about short input, quick activity, reflection, and next input. When we talk about this kind of input, if we use this idea of offering a short input, preparing a quick activity, doing reflection, and then next input, this will keep engagement high and cognitive load low, because once a person goes into a quick activity that practices the short input and also takes the time for reflection, the information is acknowledged and sedimented by the trainee, and it's not remaining only at the surface level, just like a buffer where all the information comes and then overloads. They are internalizing it, and then the buffer is empty, ready for new information. This is a really good pattern to follow and to scale. Another pattern would be pattern of anchoring. We start with a relatable scenario or story. We introduce the concept. We connect it back to reality. So the main difference between this one and the alternation pattern is that we follow this kind of anchoring pattern for each concept. So we have the story of the concept, we introduce the concept, we connect it back to reality. Okay, and then a third pathway or pattern would be the adaptive pathways, which offer small choices so that learners can feel the agency without overwhelming them. Once you learn and practice these patterns, you can reuse them across teams, topics, formats, industries, without reinventing everything. Then we go to the third element, or tool and technique, which is safety first design. This is actually the foundation of everything we've discussed today. A safety first approach includes all the main points we've discussed today: reducing cognitive overload, designing predictable flow, allowing emotional breathing room, normalizing mistakes as part of the process, using language that supports and does not pressure. So actually, when psychological and emotionally safety are strong, learning accelerates and people absorb more, try more, apply more. I think that's exactly what we want to get out of the training. Now, these tools are not meant to replace your style. This I really want to encourage you and to see. We are discussing here about adaptation and creativity. Creativity on one side means bringing over and thinking of all new ways, but keeping your own style. And these tools help you place humans at the center of your design consistently, regardless of the topic or of your audience. Now, let's bring everything back together and see how these principles shape real outcomes. Looking at the key takeaways, I've gathered here 4 of them. So engagement starts in the nervous system. What we want to say here is that before motivation, before interest, before participation, there is the body. And if a learner is overloaded, stressed, or fragmented by digital noise or everything that happens around us, no tool or technique can reach them. What they really need is to support their nervous system, and engagement begins to rise naturally from a calm nervous system. At the second point, we discuss about the safety as a foundation of all learning. Psychological, emotional, and digital safety are not nice to have. They determine whether the learner can think, imagine, question, and experiment. Without safety, learning becomes performance. And with safety, learning becomes curiosity, which is internally driven and sustainable over time. When talking about experience, information informs, but experience transforms. Stories, relevance, reflection, application. These are what makes learning stick. They are the bridge between knowing and doing. And finally, when we talk about the tools that we've looked at that amplify design, just remember they amplify it, they don't replace it. A tool is only as effective as the experience supports it. Whether it's frameworks or digital platforms or AI assistants, tools should scale your intention, not substitute it. So pay attention how you use your tools here. When human experience is well designed, tools become powerful. When human experience is neglected, tools become noise. And this is actually the essence of LXD. Support the human system, design the experience with intention, and choose tools that elevate and not overwhelm. And with this foundation in place, I would like to close with a single line that captures the heart of everything we've explored today. And you've mostly have probably heard me saying it again. It's my signature note. Learning that fits people and supports them grow. It's learning that sticks and makes team performance glow. So this is the heart of everything I believe in learning. Thank you for being part of this conversation and for choosing to shape learning with humanity. And I would be glad to catch up with some Q&A right now, if that's okay.
Thank you so much once again for the amazing and insightful sessions. I'm sure our participants have learned a lot. So, participant, the floor is officially open for question answer. If you have any question, please feel free to drop them into the chat box. We'll be keeping an eye on it. And we do have few questions from the participant of YouTube and LinkedIn. So the I'm really sorry. So the first question we have, that is, how can learning and development teams ensure learning remains human centered while integrating more AI driven tools?
Mm-hmm. Well, as you've seen in my presentation, the accent goes over the flow and the load of the information. So one practical example would be like this. Instead of starting onboarding or the training over a tool and doing this, using this tool directly as much as possible from the first day, make it timed. 2 hours today, 2 hours tomorrow. Let's take the time to discuss about it, practice it, reflect it, apply it. Take care that every day you do this with each tool, even though the impression is that the adoption of a tool would take longer. Actually, the proficiency of a person in a tool by following this LXD pattern will be shorter. And by the time the onboarding ends, you will be sure of the capabilities that the persons have over using this tool.
Thank you so much for the amazing and insightful answer.
Sure.
Just allow me a minute. I'm really sorry for that.
It's
My
okay.
allergy has started acting up.
If,
So
if it's okay with you, I can also take the next two questions that I see in the chat.
that would be perfect. Thank you.
Okay, take some minutes, it's okay. So thank you again for the questions. I have here one question. How is the LXD process implemented and in which environments? It's a pretty general question. I would be really interested if you have a certain environment where you don't see it fit or where you cannot see right now how it would fit, and I can come up with some ideas. But generally, the LXD process is being implemented by having the trainers informed and formed for LXD, and changing, and from their side, starting to change the experience of a training for the employees, for the trainees. And the way it should be implemented is as I've presented it. First, we start with the persona of our trainees. For example, if they are employees, right? We as company have business objectives. They as learners have learning objectives, but also business objectives, because it's their professional life and they do have business objectives for their professional life, right? And when you look at those, you need to find the common points of each of these elements from each individual, each employee, and then you can gather this information and create a persona. And for this persona, you would look at this persona like it would be your one-on-one trainee or mentee, and you would like to ask yourself the main question of LXD: what do I want this person to feel, to experiment, and to know by the end of my training? And then maybe you come with an answer, something like, I would like them to feel growing. I would like them to feel free and empowered to try new things during the training. I would like them to feel happy to be learning new things. I would like them to feel empowered learning new things. Then applying things you have to be ready for mistakes, right? So of course, we will introduce a tool in a sandbox environment or something like that. And then let them apply it in real life, in real projects. So which environments? I think I've answered that, and how this L&D process can be implemented. It will start with the trainer, the way the trainings are being performed, and then how you look at the learners and the experience you offer to them. Next question that I see is from, okay, I'm glad. Thank you. Which tools or patterns would you recommend for digital transformation training that will mitigate cognitive overload for neurodivergent learners? Okay, so when we have neurodivergent learners, we have a situation that it's a bit more sensitive and more challenging than otherwise. First of all, I'm not sure if you know, there was this situation where I've also checked it with my trainees. I was constantly seeing some of the trainees defocusing and losing their attention, being demotivated. Although I had my story, I had my LXD done, I had my homeworks done, and I kept asking myself what's happening there. So I've asked for their approval for me to monitor their activity better. And what I've noticed is that during 1 hour, just 1 hour, they were receiving over 120 notifications. So neurodivergent or not, what I really recommend is that during trainings, take the time for the learners, and the learners should really take the time with no notification. Our brain is not even designed to receive 120 impulses, new information every hour, especially from different sources with different objectives. This will not work, especially when you want to keep your attention and motivation on your training. Then what will mitigate the cognitive overload? So this one with notification goes generally. Then digital transformation training. Just let me read your question again to be sure I'm answering it. Tools and patterns for digital transformations. Okay. We discussed earlier about the patterns that we should use for LXD. And I think that for neurodivergent learners, the pattern that works best is the one that implies repetition. Repetition will always work for everybody, but for neurodivergent learners will work even more, especially because we will go around repeating same information and not switch it from cycle to cycle, so that it will not become a cognitive overload. And other tools, besides the one I've presented, I would actually really like to connect with you, Victoria Goodlet, on LinkedIn and discuss this a bit more. I would like to really research a bit on it and come back to you. So if you can, then let's reach out on LinkedIn. Yeah. Thank you, Pratibha, for putting my link there. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Which tools are commonly used when building learning experiences with LXD? The ones that are commonly used, I think I still have my share on. Okay. I will go back a bit. Just let me put the chat on minimize. The main ones are actually the ones I've presented here. Let me read a bit the question. Which tools are commonly used? Yeah. So we have this one, the moment model. And this is very used because the most relatable experience a person can have is the present moment. So what we need to do is to understand very well the learner, the trainee, and to keep him in the present moment. So here we have the moment model that supports us a lot. In case something messes up, then we go to the ARC model, and we always can turn to the learning flow loop in case we need some more support in our training for application for our trainees. Then these are for frameworks, let's say, and then we go to the patterns that I've mentioned. Depending on the persona that you have for your employees or trainees, you can use alternation anchoring and or adaptive pathways, because, and I said and or is because you can also alternate between them. Part of the training can be done with alternation, then you can switch to anchoring and then to adaptive pathways. What's the most important, if you're asking me about tools and frameworks, is safety first. So creating the right environment for learning is really at the basis of all the other patterns and frameworks.
Thank you
Pratibha,
so much, Arina.
I'm starting to lose my voice now, so please take over.
Thank you so much once again for the amazing and insightful answer, and thank you so much for helping me out. So, participant, as we are running out of the time, so we'll not be able to take more question. But as I have shared Irina's LinkedIn ID into the chat box so that you guys can connect with her for any guidance, any consultation, I'm sure she would be happy to help you out, right, Irina?
Sure. I'm looking forward for your messages, and I'll reply as soon as I can.
Thank you so much. So moving ahead, let me just quickly allow me a minute to share my screen.
I will. Yep.
So, if you guys are ready to opt for the certification into the learning and development, certifications are available on our website now. And we are giving a complimentary coupon code to all of our participants, which will give you a 20% off. But, participant, this offer is for a very limited time of period, so make sure you're taking the advantage of it. I have shared the coupon code link into the chat box so that you don't miss out. So, check on our website regarding the certification, use the coupon code, get 20% off, and get certified into the learning and development. And before wrapping up, I just wanted to make a few announcements in which the utility tool is one of that announcement. So in today's AI era, everyone takes the help of AI, and HRs and recruiter are also one of those people who are taking the help from AI to make their professional journey easier because they do get a lot of resumes on daily basis. But let's face the fact that is also one of the reason that most candidates resumes are getting rejected even though after having the skills and experience because their resumes are not aligned as per the AI ATS screening system. So what you can do, you can take the help of utility tool, log in into utility tool by using your LinkedIn ID and password, and we are also giving a complimentary coupon code to all of our participants which will give you 100% off. So take the help of utility tool and it will give you a recommendation according to the job designation you are targeting and industry you are targeting to improve your LinkedIn profile, like experience management, bio management, portfolio management, everything. So when everyone is taking the help of AI, why or not? Take the help of utility tool, use our code which will give you 100% off and make your job hunting journey even more easier. Stand out your resume in front of the HRs and recruiters. So as I told you at the starting of the session that we are making few changes into our upcoming events. So from now onwards, from 8 to 12 December, we are only going to have 3 sessions for learning and development and 3 sessions for the AI implementation series and 4 sessions for ISO series. So in upcoming weeks, from 8 to 10 December, we will have the learning and development series in which we are going to cover the topic of emotional intelligence for new trainers, the soft skill rising in 2026, learning and development operations 101, building smooth training workflows for making you future ready, and training strategies for a multi-generational workforce for 2026. And the timings are 9:30 a.m. Central Time, 11:30 p.m. Singapore time, 9 p.m. Indian timing, and 10:30 p.m. Eastern timing. So do check our website for registering onto this upcoming webinar. And I'm hoping to see you all in the next learning and development webinar for upcoming week also. And for AI also, we are going to have 3 sessions only. So that session will be from 8 to 10 December, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the timing is 9:30 p.m. Singapore time, 7 p.m. Indian time, 7:30 a.m. Central time, and 8:30 a.m. in Eastern time, in which we are going to cover the topic of responsible AI governance, balancing innovation and regulations in global finance. Explainable and ethical AI, building trust in financial decision systems, AI as your co-pilot, a leader's masterclass in efficiency. So do check our website for the AI implementation series registration webinar and join this webinar for learning on the new tools for which will make your future ready for 2026. Last but not least, we are also conducting the ISO webinar. For ISO, we are going to have the 4 day session from 8 to 11 December, Monday till Thursday, and the timing will be 10:30 p.m. Singapore timing, 8 p.m. Indian timing, 8:30 a.m. Central timing, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern timing. The topics we are going to cover that will be from AI ethics and compliance, from AI governance across borders, from securing AI governments and compliance till integrating ISO 27001 into the AI system lifecycle to enhance your skill for upcoming New Year 2026. You can find the registration link for ISO also on our website. So now it's time to celebrate our referral champion. We have Bhanu Durgesh, EPI, and Avinash Kumar. So special thanks to all three of you for helping us simplify our initiative and reach it to the wider global audience. So you can be part of our referral championship. What you have to do, if any of your peers, colleagues, and professional wants to join for this webinar, refer the registration link via our website and for any of the webinar, and every referral will earn your point. So once you hit a 50 referral point, you will be able to get a free $400 worth gift certification voucher. And if you want to join with us for any of the webinar or podcast or learning capsule, please do reach out at pratibha@gsdccouncil.org. And these are the website you guys can connect with us, our LinkedIn group, our website, our WhatsApp group. Also, we would love to hear your feedback. We would love to know what resonated most with you. What are your session key takeaways? What are your learning outcomes? If you have any suggestions, if you want to see any topic cover which we have not conducted yet, or you want to see in the future, or if you want to tell us regarding the how the speakers which who are coming on our platform and giving making your learning journey even more engaging and dynamic, so how you guys are feeling about that, and the timing changes and everything, because your feedback and suggestions will help us improve to make your learning journey even more insightful, engaging, and amusing. So we would love to know. So I'm sharing all of the platforms link into the chat box so that you can connect with us and stay updated regarding our upcoming events and trends. I'm also sharing reviews.io link into the chat box so that you can go there and drop your feedbacks and suggestions. And with that, it's time to come to an event. Thank you so much once again, Arina, for coming on our platform again and giving some amazing and insightful sessions. Also, for thank you, special thank you to helping into the Q&A segment. And thank you so much to all of the participants for joining into our learning journey. Hoping to see you all into the upcoming week. Till then, keep learning, keep energizing. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.